Welcome to Uncaged from talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. It is a pleasure to once again be in your company. Brendan Loughlane, PFL featherweight, alongside me as always to preview this week's MMA and talk about the biggest stories coming from the world of mixed martial arts. Before we get stuck in, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Dead simple to do. Hit the button. You'll never miss out on any of the subjects that we bring your way. And this week, we're of course heading towards New Jersey for UFC 302. Islam Makhachev defending his title against Dustin the Diamond Poirier. We'll give you a full preview on that. You're going to hear from Savannah Marshall, who's making the transition from boxing into the world of MMA. She's going to be making her PFL debut in June, so we'll hear from her as well. And then we'll get stuck into all the big topics. First and foremost, how's training camp going, mate? Are you ripping it up over in Thailand or what?
Nice and smooth, mate, 5 weeks ago. But like I say, this is a marathon, not a sprint. I'm out every 8 weeks, so it's not like a camp, Adam. It's just maintenance. It's do your baseline work in January, top up a little bit every camp. You know, I'm a veteran out here now in these tournaments. But listen, all these guys in their first tournaments, good luck with his second and third fight, fellas. Can't wait to see your faces in August. I'm excited, mate.
Who's in the gym out there? Any big names? Anybody doing any work?
I don't like to name drop, but Volk's over at the minute. Volk just landed yesterday, so he's out. Jeremy Kennedy I've been training with. Just good. Listen, the thing is about Thailand, mate, it's a constant conveyor belt of world-class fighters. Every time we come on this, it's a new name. Do you know what I mean? So that's what's fantastic about Thailand, and it's just getting better and bigger and busier.
I like to hear that Alexander Volkanovski has just rocked up and he's started maybe doing a pre-camp. Maybe there is a date coming our way for the rematch with Ilia Topuria. Who knows, man? Who knows? More on that, I've no doubt, at a later date. Right now, though, let's turn to the notorious one. We'll start with him, shall we? Why not? He features on every blooming show that we do, but we're definitely getting stuck into it this week because he's been catching up with our man Oscar, who runs the Mac Life channel for him. One of the best MMA journalists out there. Oscar rocked up in Ireland. I think they did this in the Black Forest. They've had a little bit of a chin wag in there. And first and foremost, before we get stuck into everything that Conor was doing in that conversation, it was good to actually hear from him, you know? And he's starting to sound like old Conor McGregor. 2016 Conor McGregor, the guy that, you know, talk the talk and walk the walk. We haven't seen it for a bit because he's had all these other different obligations with his businesses and all those types of things with the movie and what have you. And it was just nice to see him in that setting, having a conversation with an MMA journalist, asking and answering questions about MMA, and then every now and again just chirping up and giving somebody some of the fierce Conor McGregor tongue, mate.
No, it was sharp. It's the sharpest I've seen him with the tongue. You know, he fell off on the Dustin Poirier fight and that, like, he calmed down and he was, like, being respectful and, you know, taking pictures with a hot sauce and all that gear. But now he's back and he's on fire, mate. He give it everyone. Any name that was brought up, they got it. Boom, 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 one after another, mate. Honestly, I've watched it 10 times over. Loved it.
But the beautiful thing about it, and you're right, you brought up Dustin there. If you remember when it was Khabib fight week, it was a little bit nasty. There's a bit of vitriol in some of the things that he was saying. This, as you said, correct word, sharp, it's clever. The wit, the old wit of Conor McGregor, man. He did it. He was a stand-up comedian. Yes, there was a little bit of spite in there. Yes, there was a little bit of nastiness in there every now and again, giving it to somebody. But it was clever, some of the things that he was saying.
Yeah.
And I saw essences of that, mate. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, no, listen, like, even some of the one-liners that he's come out with some of the best one-liners. My favourite Conor McGregor one-liner, was when he was fighting Chad Mendes and he was on that TV show, and then he goes, "Hey Conor, do you know what wrestling is?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'll rest my balls on your chin." And I thought, how are you coming out that quick? Like, what is going on in his brain? It just shows that he's on job, and I think if you can take any away from these latest interviews, the confidence is back inside him, the fire's back inside him, the tongue's sharp, and let's hope the fists go with it. Come on.
Well, they all got it. Khabib got a little bit. Leon Edwards got a little bit. Kamaru Usman got a little bit, as did Ilia Topuria and Alexander Volkanovski. They all got a little bit of the Conor McGregor live. He was doing a live, basically, for those that haven't seen it. Definitely go and search it out. He was doing a live, and fans were throwing questions his way. And they said, "What do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy?" And he literally just got out the machine gun and he blasted every single one of them with that Conor McGregor whip.
Oh, he's like the Osman one. Osman, he said, oh.
Yeah.
And then he said, oh, mate, it was like you say, 2016 Conor, mate, and he was just on job. And I think that is a great sign. I think that's a really subconscious sign for the fans out there to show that Conor McGregor is back to his old ways, because we missed this side of him. The side that was just bum, 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 bum. Any name you'd throw at him, anything you'd throw at him. Remember that one with when Jeremy Stevens, who's that guy behind you and all that gear? That guy's back. That guy is back now, and I can tell by that interview, and it's a great sign, and it's making my mouth water for June. It is, honestly.
Do you know where I think this comes from? And I've kind of brought this up in a few conversations that I've had in the past. If you think of the trajectory of Conor McGregor, when he was at his very best, he was in the gym grinding with John every single day, in and around other fighters that were also thirsty. And we've all been around Irish people, the crack man. You sit there, yeah, and you're in the firing line constantly all day. Now, if you're doing that all day in the gym with your mates, bantering it up, it becomes that habit. It's a muscle memory type thing. Whereas Conor, when we're talking about Khabib, when we're talking about Dustin, he had different training camps. He was on his yacht training. He was away. He was kind of in a bit of solitude when he was training. So therefore, he was within himself. And when you then obviously start to see him interviewed, it's kind of reflective of the training camp that he was putting out. It's quite obvious he's back and in and around the crack, grinding against other young, hungry guys who are probably giving him a little bit. He's giving them a little bit on a daily basis. And now he's being able to turn it back into the old Conor McGregor, reliving what he actually really is.
Don't ever get into a verbal with the Irish or the Scousers. Like, getting it with them two, breeds, is over, mate. They're too sharp. And you know what? When he was on them American press conferences, and you know what Americans can be like, Adam, mate, and he was running rings around them and going backwards, wasn't it? It was, at some point, you just wanted to take the mic off him and be like, oh, he's too sharp. He's too sharp, mate. And you know what? He's fully back. I can't wait.
How does that make you feel about what potentially he can do inside the octagon? It's all well and good being back on the microphone, isn't it? But he's a little bit older than he was last time when he was in his peak at 2016, 2017. How does it make you feel about what we're about to see in International Fight Week?
Well, I half know what we're going to see, don't I? Because I've been in there. I've been in the room, and I've recently.
Well, that's why I'm leading you down that path, mate.
Yeah. I mean, Adam, I've been in there recently, mate, and I've seen it. The old Conor is still inside there, and it is. And I'm seeing latest training videos. You know, he says he's been off everything for 10 weeks now. Time the fight comes. That's what we needed. And, man, I'm excited now, especially now the tongue's back. I'm seeing his latest training videos. I've been chatting with John briefly, and everything's good on their side, mate. It's going to stand us in good stead for next month. It is. Looks
physically well.
Yeah,
too.
He
in
does.
The face, looks starting to look a little bit chiseled up. It's all starting to come together. Now, one of the things that he did say in that interview is that he wants 3 fights this year. Of course, we've got June booked. He mentioned September. He wants December. Peak Conor McGregor. He's at his peak with activity. Activity is the key word for him. He just rolls from one fight into the other fight. Very similar to yourself, mate, with this PFL league that you're currently in. That activity, knowing that you're going from one to another, you've got dates down the line, keeps you focused, keeps you in the gym, and keeps you delivering to the very best.
I'm very similar to Conor in that sense. We need a goal in front of us. I can't just train for training's sake like that. I really can't. You don't have the motivation. You need to be getting up every morning knowing that someone else in the world is training to beat you. And that's always been my mindset. I get up and I'm like, right, this guy is sat in California or wherever they are, and he thinks he can beat me and he's training hard. Well, watch this. And then it gives you that fire inside you. That's just the actual contract sign now. I've put ink to paper. And one thing about Conor McGregor, he never pulls out, mate. He's turned up injured. He's turned up all types of injuries throughout his career, and he's always shown up. He puts his name on that line, he's showing up. And that's what I love about this, because you can see him transitioning now from the broken leg and all the bad luck that he's had. You can see the transition now back to the old Conor. And we're getting to see it in the public eye. And that latest interview actually done more for me. I thought, okay, that's what I needed to see. The tongue's back. Yeah. The face is chiseled. Yeah, he's got the right training partner. He's back with John. I think that was a big one. Back with John. In my eyes, top 3 MMA coaches on the planet, and I mean that. Different type of brain for the sport. Amazing fella. He's back around the Irish and around his heritage. He's got his kids out with him. He's got everything there. And I think this is all leading into a great fight. I really do think he's going to make light work of Michael Chandler. I do, Adam. I'll be honest.
I'm going to throw you something then, right? Because this is the Conor McGregor world and we're all just living in it, man. We're just... So I'm going to throw you something. And I know that I'm going to get some backlash online because there are ways and means of going about getting to title shots in the UFC. But it's Conor McGregor. And there's different rules for Conor McGregor. So let's put this on your toes, right? Because the champion has actually mentioned his name this week. So here we go. Conor McGregor, International Fight Week, comes through Michael Chandler in devastating fashion. Looks great.
Yeah.
Leon Edwards takes care of Bilal Muhammad the month after. Leon Edwards gets on the microphone. He said, let's dance, Conor. Let's go. Do you make the fight?
Why would you not make the fight? Like, whoa, what are we even talking about? Of course you make the fight, Adam. What? Of course you make the fight. He is the sport right now. If Conor wants to fight and Leon wants to fight, we're all going to watch the fight. Dana Mouth will be salivating at the fact that they're both saying it. Will he not?
I'm in. But there'll be people out there that say one win at 170 against the lightweight in Michael Chandler doesn't warrant a shot at the welterweight championship. You've got the likes of the Shavkats of this world. You've got some other kings and cats that are trying to get towards Leon Edwards. You're waving your hand, my friend. Listen, I'm on board, bro. But I'm just putting it out there that people will come back with the argument having listened to our conversation. I'm in. If Conor McGregor wants to dance at the top table and try and become a 3-weight world champion, taking on Leon Edwards, and Leon Edwards wants that red panty night, let's go, baby. Let's make the fight.
You see what you do when it's Conor and Conor wants to fight someone and he's the champion. You get the script, you rip it up and you give him the fight, don't you? That's what they do, and that's what they have been doing in the past. And guess what? We're in the entertainment industry as well. Like, I know we're prize fighting and there's numbers and all that, but nobody does bigger numbers than Conor, mate. And Conor and Leon, it's the fight Leon deserves as well. Let's have it right. Leon's paid his dues to the sport as well, Adam. So give him that fight. Let them both make big money on the pay-per-view. They're both from our side of the world. It'll be massive for our country, and it'll be amazing to watch. What a fight.
What a fight. Listen, we're getting ahead of ourselves. There's a lot of water to go under that bridge before we even get to that point. UFC 303, Conor McGregor taking on Michael Chandler in the main event there. And, of course, Leon Edwards in the main event at UFC 304 taking on Bilal Muhammad. Plenty of previews for those two fights to come in the not-too-distant future. Right now, though, it is all about UFC 302. New Jersey is the destination. And the main event is Islam Makhachev versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier. With another opportunity. Obviously, once upon a time, he was classed as the interim champion, never got to full undisputed status. You would think, given where he's currently at in life and career, this might be the last roll of the dice. Will the MMA gods, will romance be shining down on New Jersey, or will Islam Makhachev roll on? He was fantastic, Makhachev, against Charles Oliveira. I know that he's come up with 2 great wins against Alexander Volkanovski, who's a featherweight stepping up to lightweight, looking for greatness himself. But this is a test, a different type of test for Makhachev, taking on Poirier, who, on the feet, will absolutely match him.
I think it's a very interesting fight, this one, because here's how I look at it. Yeah? You've got a guy like Dustin Poirier that's fought everyone for the last decade and give us some of the best fights we've seen in the UFC. Do you want
to start on Poirier and his opponents? Check this out, right? Out of all the lightweight champions in the last 10 years, Poirier has faced them all bar one, and that one was Rafael dos Anjos, like near enough 10 years ago. Everybody else, Poirier's been in the dance with.
There you go. What more is there to say than that? The guy's an absolute gangster. I remember watching that documentary on him back in the day. He's just been such a road warrior.
That was amazing when he was a kid.
Mate, phenomenal man. What a phenomenal fighter. Someone that all fighters should look up to. Keeps his body healthy, and to have this long of a career at the highest level has to be respected. And like you say, if there is any justice in the world, we'll have Dustin Poirier as a champion, but he's got a very, very, very stiff test in front of him, Adam. I'm not going to lie, it's a tough one.
Listen, I'll talk about the champion in a minute, but just from a Poirier point of view, where are his strengths in this fight? Do you think that he has to do it with the hands, it has to be on the feet, it has to be the boxing?
Well,
because when he does get somebody hurt and he does sniff that blood, he's a fantastic finisher. Might be a reckless finisher, but he's a fantastic finisher.
are we all forgetting that Poirier was actually the closest fighter to ever finishing Khabib? How close was that guillotine? Let's have it right. He was whiskers away from finishing Khabib in that fight. Yeah, he got finished himself, but he had moments. He had moments in the fight. That's what I'm trying to say. Makhachev's obviously a different animal, but same sort of style, you know. So he's seen it before. He's seen every style before, Adam. He's seen every type of style in the world. And I think, you know, he's got to navigate. He's got to keep it on the feet, which is such a hard task with someone as dominating in the wrestling as Makhachev. So it's about keeping that distance, letting them hands go. And like you say, if he lands anything, no better finisher. Smells that blood, he's in for the kill. And I'm actually excited for this one.
We all know about Islam Makhachev's fantastic wrestling prowess coming from Eagle MMA, obviously being trained under the late, great Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, tutelage of Khabib Nurmagomedov, of course, as well. But on the feet, I actually think he's really good, this lad.
Same.
He's proven it against a couple of guys, those left high kicks that he landed on Alexander Volkanovski. Khabib, listen, he's one of the very best to ever do it. I think this is a 2.0 version of Khabib. I think he's better on the feet than Khabib ever was. With all due respect to Khabib, wrestling, much of a muchness. He's just got the potential to be such a dominant champion at 155. It's a very, very tough task. That left southpaw stance from Islam Makhachev is absolutely on the money, and he does mix up them shots very, very good. But there is a blueprint. He has been knocked out before in the UFC by a southpaw with one of those straight backhands, hasn't he? So Dustin Poirier has to hold on to that when this gets a little bit tetchy.
Listen, I'm all down for fairy tale endings, Adam. Put me down for the fairy tale ending, Adam. Dustin Poirier lifts the belt and goes, you know what? That's enough, guys. Thanks for everything. We all drop a little tear, and Poirier rides off into the sunset. Ideal.
Listen, Makhachev is the business. Don't get that twisted. Always, if you're going to have a flutter on this fight, use your head rather than your heart, right? Otherwise, you could be out of pocket. Because Islam Makhachev is the absolute business. But, like I said, if the MMA gods are smiling, Dustin Poirier might just get that moment.
For another one of them moments where Max Holloway goes like that, bang, that feeling I got inside. I just hope Poirier slips in, boom, boom, next thing, we're all just running around the pub somewhere again. That's what my goal is in this fight.
Well, do you want an interesting stat on this main event, right? Because on the core main event features Paulo Costa. So he's taking on Sean Strickland. We're going to preview that fight in a minute. So here's an interesting stat for you, right? Every champion that has shared a card with Paulo Costa has lost their title. And it's not just a one-off. Check this out. UFC 212. Jose Aldo lost to Max Holloway. 217. Bisping lost to Georges St. Pierre. Cody Garbrandt on the same card lost to TJ Dillashaw. And Joanna Jędrzejczyk lost to Rose Namajunas. All three of them lost their titles that night. Paulo Costa was on the card. Stipe lost to Daniel Cormier at 226. Cormier lost to Stipe at 241. Kamaru lost to Leon Edwards at 278. And Alexander Volkanovski lost to Ilia Topuria at 298. Paulo Costa was on every single one of those numbered cards. Islam Makhachev, if I were you, mate, I'd be asking for him to be removed from the card. Send him to 3 or 4, sunshine.
One thing I've told you all.
The Paulo Costa curse is real.
Don't mess with Adam and his MMA facts and his MMA trivia, because listen, only Adam could come out with a stat like that. Who thinks about stuff like that? That's why Adam is the best in the game. I've got to give you your props on this one, because that is on Adam.
It's a mad stat, mate.
Mad,
do you buy into any of those superstitions or any of them curses or anything like that? It's like the Drake curse. Whenever Drake bets on somebody, go for the other guy. Is basically where you're at with fight sports.
Oh mate, all these guys that like to tie the left shoe before the right shoe and all that gear in the changing rooms, and you know, I've got to have this in the room, and you know, it's all a load of macca, mate. It really is. Sorry, that's for lack of a better term. It's a load of macca. Who cares? Do you think I'd care that Paulo Costa's on this card? I'm still going in to do my job. Believe all your little superstitions and your left foot and your right foot. None of it matters. As long as I've had a good camp, you're getting it. End of. That's how he's going to be thinking.
On Islam Makhachev, if he comes through, beats Dustin Poirier, that's another title defence at 155. He's always going to be compared to Khabib and Khabib's legacy. Yeah. Khabib was undefeated. Obviously, got there in the end, became champion, and then defended on a couple of occasions. What does he have to do maybe to supersede that legacy? Is it multi-weight world championships? Is that what we're talking with him?
I think he just needs... I think he needs the McGregors of the world. He needs bigger stars in the division. He needs the McGregors. He needs, maybe, him and Leon have sparred before. They half know each other. Maybe he does step up and have that Leon fight. He needs big fights now. And I think the way he dismantled Charles Oliveira, mate, was something special. And if he can do that to one or two more big names, he really puts himself in that conversation.
I never, ever thought that I would see him submit
Charles
Oliveira in the way that he submitted Charles Oliveira. It was dominant. It was
light
outstanding.
Work.
Yeah.
It was light
and the
work.
second performance against Alexander Volkanovski was legit.
Phenomenal.
Absolutely sensational. He is the real deal. Most people would think that he's going to retain his championship belt, but it's a great main event. Him and Dustin Poirier going at it at UFC 302. In the co-main event, Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa. Just mentioned Paulo Costa. Interesting fight, this, man, because one, the press conferences are going to be absolutely ridiculous between the pair of them. But then fight-wise, stylistically, I mean, Paulo Costa really baffles me because he does have a jiu-jitsu background, just refuses to use it. He just wants to absolutely stand in front of someone and throw all of his force and all of his power into every single shot that he throws. And Sean Strickland, if you look at his style, it shouldn't work. But it does. He stands in front of you, flat-footed, walks forward, Philly shell roll. He's rolling around like this. And next thing you know, you're getting battered. How does that... Explain to me, Brent. How does that style, not light on his feet at all, stands in front of you, doesn't really cut the cage off, he just walks forward. How does that work in MMA?
None of it makes any sense to me. I don't get it either. I really don't get it, but, he has been found out with that style before. Look at the likes of Alex Pereira. He figured it out really quick. He went jab and just kept trying to par the jab. He thought, wait, really? Bang. So there's holes in the style, but it seems to be, it's the forward pressure. He's constantly on your case. Look, he's like one of them guys that just won't go away, and he's constantly there. He's constantly in front of you. And that's enough to melt pretty strikers. Pretty strikers that like to keep the range and move. He doesn't give you that time to get comfortable. I think Paulo Costa, though, he's solid, he hits hard, and I think this is a good fight for Costa myself. What about you?
I'm all over the place with it because Costa's style, if you look at Costa's style too, every shot, he doesn't tippy-tap stuff. Do you know, like you set things up, like your little rangefinder on the jab, then you might throw a forceful jab in there. He don't do that. He's just force. Just every single shot. I'm surprised them big muscles do not burn out quicker, mate, because he is just, let's have it. He tries to take your head off with every single shot. If he lands, don't get me wrong, he's putting you in roll's head. There's no doubt about that. And we've seen Sean Strickland be knocked out before. But he's an odd one, man. He's a tough dude, loves a scrap, gets inside your face, throws shots from down here rather than up here, so they're quite difficult with the eye line to be able to see. And he's just constant. It's just bang, 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 bang. The output's unreal. I think Strickland has all the abilities to wear Paulo Costa down. But we have seen in the Costa against Luke Rockhold fight, Costa's up for it, man. He's up for a fight, isn't he? He might say all this secret juice stuff. He might say all this mad things, but he's up for a scrap. He's a double-hard fella. I agree. I think that Costa might come through, but I think it's just going to be carnage, pal. I really do. I think it's going to be a great, great fight. It can't be rubbish just because of the styles.
No, I agree. And I think we've seen shades. Like, I was really excited for that Hamzat fight. That was the fight that I wanted to see. I really wanted to see where they were both fighting that because the stylistic, that really intrigued me. But Strickland, it almost intrigues me even more because you've got two strikers with a completely different mindset. You've got one who just throws everything and one that's kind of a volume puncher, but not really. Like, we don't really know what he's doing, but it's effective. And to take out someone like Izzy, mate, in the way that he did, yeah, you've got to take your hat off to him. One of the best strikers we've ever seen in MMA. And he managed to get around that. But you're looking at Costa and Izzy, it's a whole different style. You've got a flat-footed Brazilian who's going to absolutely blow your head off with every shot against a guy that's Philly shelling, making it awkward, touching you, kicking you in the shin, making it awful. Exciting matchup, mate. It really is.
It's a great co-main event. Also on this card, in the middleweight division, we've got Kevin Holland taking on Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Again, interesting styles that we've got mixed up here, because Kevin Holland, big, long, rangy. I've always wanted to ask you about Kevin Holland's power, right? Because he seems to have this weird, freaky power. Like, when I watch you knock fellas out, or I watch Conor knock fellas out, in fact, maybe Conor not so much, because he kind of has this little bit of a freaky thing. The power seems to be, especially with Kevin Holland, right at the end of the punch. Whereas most people, when they throw the shot, there's a slight bend in the arm and then you're following through to knock somebody out. Kevin Holland seems to be able to knock people out with a full arm extension. It's absolutely madness, mate.
Mate, he knocked Jacare out with a back fist from the floor. Like, from his own back. It's the first time I've ever seen that in MMA, ever.
Wow.
Like, he went like this, Adam, and just knocked him out, knock out Jacare from the bottom like that. So, you are right, there's definitely something in that. And I just like him. How can you not like Kevin Holland? Do you know what I mean? He talks the talk. He goes out. He's telling you everything that's going on. It's like, oh, that was a good one. And he literally tells you that was a good shot. And he goes, oh, God, we're not wrestling now, are we? And all that. And he's chatting to you. And that can be off-putting. But it's super, super entertaining. For those at home that haven't seen Kevin Holland fight, stick yourself on YouTube and put on Kevin Holland highlight reel. What a fantastic guy to watch, is he not?
Yeah, he's great. He's absolutely tremendous. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk's got a wonderful opportunity here. A bit of a smaller guy, likes to probably get on the inside a little bit more. That's going to be his challenge. Can he get on the inside of them massive long levers and let his hands go to that body? Interesting matchup. I like Kevin Holland. I like him a lot. But he's one of them fighters that will just take anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere, won't he? He'll just jump into the big fire and he'll get the fights on. Rest of the main card, we've got a bit of heavyweight action, bit of welterweight action at 302, and a couple of nice ones on the undercard as well. All going down June the 1st. Make sure you check it out. But all eyes really are on that title fight between Islam Makhachev and Dustin Poirier. Stripped over my words there. We got there eventually, didn't we? Right. Little bit of a gear change now. Away from the UFC, we're going to start talking PFL, because Savannah Marshall's going to be making a debut on June the 8th. That's right, a week on Saturday. She's going to be in Newcastle, and the former two-weight world champion, undisputed champion at 168, remember, Savannah Marshall, is going to be up in the PFL Smart Cage for the first time. She caught up with talkSPORT's Adam Smith to talk about her journey so far.
So, Sav, you're unsure about turning professional, and then a call comes in from a certain Floyd Mayweather. You can't make this up.
No, exactly. It was just after 2016, heartbreak of another Olympic Games, just missing out on a medal, and I thought, I've had enough of this. I don't enjoy boxing anymore, and I thought, I think I'm ready to turn it in. And then, like you said there, I got offered a contract by Floyd Mayweather, the money team.
Do you think it was real?
I remember thinking at the time, oh my God, Lamborghinis, cash, Rolexes, living in Vegas, wow. You know what I thought? I thought, God, I'm set for life.
You've had a wonderful career, winning the WBO middleweight title against Hannah Rankin, of course, and having the defences, some here in Newcastle. The defeat to Clarissa, the win then for the super middleweight title, two-weight champion. Then the switch, and not many boxers go into mixed martial arts. Is it just because you're crazy or competitive, or you've got the Clarissa Shield thing? It's a bit of everything, maybe?
It is a bit of everything, and you get many MMA fighters going to the boxing world, but very rarely you get boxers coming to the MMA world, and I can see why.
Adam Smith catching up with Savannah Marshall ahead of her debut on June the 8th. I've got nothing but admiration for her. And Clarissa Shields as well, right? Because there's a lot of people that talk the talk in this game, don't they? These two girls in particular, especially Clarissa and Savannah, in their athletic prime, are taking themselves out of a discipline where they could quite comfortably coast, We've got an undisputed champion here in the super middleweight division in boxing. She could go and have a couple of defences, make a few quid. Nobody's going to monitor her because that's what she does. But she's taken herself out of her comfort zone to challenge herself in the smart cage, learn a brand spanking new discipline, make it all nice and raw. She's putting herself out there. Okay, maybe she is chasing a rematch with Claressa Shields in the world of MMA. Maybe that is the reason why she's here. But she's still putting herself out there, out of her comfort zone and trying something new. I have nothing but admiration for that, mate.
Yeah, just to touch on that point there. I remember when PFL came to London and me and Clarissa had to do a load of media, and we went for a meal with Pete Murray, and I sat next to her and I said, you know what? I said, Clarissa, man, I've got to tell you, I respect you a lot, you know. She's like, what? I said, at the level you're at in boxing and what you've done in boxing and your accolades in boxing and the age that you're at, for you to come over to MMA and do what you're doing, I respect it a lot, just so you know. She was a bit taken back by it, but I do. I take my hat off to both them two girls because I don't see any world level boxers, males, do you, that are coming over and even attempting this right now. These two girls are a breath of fresh air because, like you said, they're very comfortable, they're making good money, and they've decided, you know what, we're going to roll the dice in MMA as well. So respect to them both. I'm hearing rumblings through Tom Aspinall and people that Savannah's training with that she's looking great, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. How tough do you think that transition is? Because we're not just doing one discipline anymore, are we? And striking in MMA compared to striking in boxing is a little different because you're constantly thinking of different elements of mixed martial arts. You've got all these different disciplines to learn. It's a very tough move to come from boxing into MMA rather than go the other way around.
Unbelievably hard transition. I mean, your footwork, you've spent the last 15 years learning this and footwork and shells, and you've got to untrain all that now. You've got to spread your base. You've got to drop your hands for takedowns. It's a big ask. And that's why I said I respect Clarissa as well, because we've actually seen Clarissa, you know, we've not seen Savannah yet. We've actually seen Clarissa in scrambles and get up off her back and finish fights. So it's very different, and it's that's what I'm saying. The level of admiration that I actually have for these two females for transitioning over is a lot of them. And I hope it's the start of things, because I know PFL have got Ngannou now and they're just trying to transition to boxing a little. So I hope this is kind of a merge where we see more trying out ours, we're trying out theirs. I just think it makes for great stories. Yeah.
I can't wait to see Savannah Marshall crack somebody with 4-ounce gloves on.
Same. Big, strong girl. Big, strong girl. It's not going to be nice. It's not going to be nice.
I'll tell you what would be amazing if she jumps a guillotine first show or something like that and strangles somebody. Mate, now we're in. Now we're away. That's all coming up on June the 8th, so make sure you check it out. We'll keep you across that on talkSPORT. Savannah Marshall's MMA debut, the undisputed super middleweight champion. I have spoken to myself recently. She hasn't given up on all things boxing. If there's opportunities there, she might have a little bit of a dance. She actually wanted a boxing match in March, but it fell off. So she's just completely thrown herself into this. We're training at the Aspinall gym, as you've just said, under the tutelage of Andy Aspinall. And she's come on leaps and bounds. I've watched a lot of that training, so I'm looking forward to seeing it under the bright lights in Newcastle. Now then, couple of other little bits to mention. I don't know if you've seen the Khalil Rountree story. He was scheduled for the co-main event at UFC 303. Of course, it's Conor versus Chandler at 303. And he was scheduled to be taking on the former light heavyweight champion Jamal Hill in the co-main event. Khalil's on a bit of a tear at the moment, doing extremely well in the division. But he won't be facing Jamal Hill in that co-main event because of a PED violation. Now, there's a little bit more to the story to add to this, because Khalil Rountree, in effect, grassed himself up on purpose. He took a supplement. The supplement company contacted him to say, we think we've given you a bad batch. It might be tainted. Khalil Rountree then contacted the UFC to inform them of the information that he was given. The UFC obviously sent testers out to test him. Shows up that he's got this particular banned substance in his system. But because of his honesty, because he was the person that flagged the possible situation to the UFC, they have now, in the last 24 hours of us making this show, announced that he's going to face a 2-month suspension for having a performance-enhancing drug in his system. Now, what that means is that he can't perform in the biggest fight of his life so far at UFC 303, but after UFC 303, he will be available to continue training and schedule a fight. Obviously, massive disappointment that he's out of the Jamal Hill fight. I speak a lot on performance-enhancing drugs, and I can't wait to get your take on this. But I kind of like Khalil's approach. I like the transparency. I like the open and honesty. At the end of the day, if you've done nothing wrong, then you've nothing to hide. And this screams right across the board that Khalil Rountree has done nothing wrong on purpose. Don't get me wrong, it's in his system. There's a mistake there. He has to be punished in some way, shape or form for it. But he hasn't done it on purpose. He's the one that has initiated every single part of the conversation along the line. And now, he has to be punished in some way, shape or form. He's missing out on the biggest fight of his life. It's a mistake. But I kind of like the attitude that he's taken towards it. He's taken the problem seriously, and I commend him for that.
Yeah, I agree, and especially in the sport now where you've got the likes of the Ryan Garcias, the Conor Benns, in the combat sport world. My take is very, very strong on performance-enhancing drugs, and recently PFL have just implemented USADA into the PFL, which is something that I was pushing for 4 years, Adam. I was like, listen, I'm putting my brain on the line here. Like, I want some form of testing going on, and fair play. PFL have now implemented it. But my stance is the exact same as yours. Imagine, we're already taking enough risks as it is. I'm putting it all on the line. I'm locking the door with another man. He's trained, I'm trained. And just all these people sticking needles in himself and taking all sorts. And I've actually fought people on it before, and you can tell. Honestly, it's night and day different. They feel
it's a performance enhancer, mate. Of course you can tell.
They feel like that, and you hit them with stuff, and their eyes are like that, and they're coming at you. And I've been in this sport a long time and fought a lot of people that do take this sort of stuff, and it's absolutely disgraceful. It is. So it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air for Khalil Rountree. I do feel sorry for him though, because it was in a tainted supplement, so it's not his fault. He's had an email, like you said, off the supplement company. This could be in it. He's called up the UFC. And he went the right way about it. He really did. But I do feel sorry for him at the same time. Massive fight for him. And I actually know Khalil. He used to train at Tiger with me here. Great fella. And really honest bloke. Really honest bloke. It's an honest mistake. My hands are in the air. The 2-month suspension. Should he be suspended? I don't know. It's hard. It's hard.
No, he should. Listen, I get where you're coming from. Listen, because you're a fighter, and he's absolutely, he personally has done nothing wrong. However, you're a professional athlete, and I stand by the thing of you are responsible for everything that goes into your system. Okay, in this case, the supplement company has messed up. But I like the fact that Khalil has taken performance-enhancing drugs incredibly seriously. He has initiated this whole conversation, and I genuinely think the UFC have done the right thing. You're not getting your fight against Jamal Hill because it's not fair on Jamal Hill. We don't know how much of a performance enhancing that has been on you, so that's not fair on Jamal. We want Jamal to be in a clean fight, so there you go, let's get him a clean fight, and that's now been rebooked with Carlos Ulberg. Wonderful opportunity for Ulberg. They're going to be doing it at 303. I think Khalil will be looked after. He'll have his 2-month suspension, he's had his punishment, and he'll be looked after going forward. I've lost my train of thought there regarding what I wanted to say.
Go on, Adam. Tell us what you really think.
No, listen. I'm happy with the way that this process has played out, because Khalil Rountree quite comfortably could have been given that information from the company, and he could have sat on it. And who knows if the UFC are going to send a tester out to him?
Oh.
They might not have done in the period of time before it flushes out of his system. Like you've said, he's been open, he's been honest, and going forward, I hope that more athletes take that attitude and take performance-enhancing drugs incredibly seriously.
I agree, and fair play to Khalil. He's just missed out on the biggest fight of his life due to an error of a supplement company. Like, it's
that's what I wanted to say. You've reminded me of what I wanted to say. If you remember, Yoel Romero went through a very similar process.
Yeah.
Yoel Romero sued the supplement company because it isn't his fault. So he sued the supplement company and he got a massive multi-million-dollar payout because
correct.
the supplement company messed up and it was not your
And you know
Romero's
what?
fault.
And so he should. Do you know why?
Absolutely.
Because regardless of anything now, what anyone else says, it's one of them stigmas that gets attached to your name, Adam. And once it's attached, it's hard to lose, even when you throw your hands up. It is.
Of course.
It's a difficult one because Khalil's on that list, Yo Romero's on that list, and they've proven that they're innocent. And it's a horrible list to be on. It is. It's not nice, but you're on there now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but going down the road of what Yo Romero did, for now, Khalil Rountree's done the right thing. Now, I think legal litigation in some way, shape or form towards the supplement company, because at the end of the day, I trusted you. You're on the approved list, and this is in your system. You've let me down. So now, here we go, sunshine.
I agree.
Are you enjoying the back and forth between Paddy Pimblett and Bobby Green? They've already started, mate. I told you that they'd be at it. 304, they're on the card. It's going to be super, super entertaining. They've already started various interviews. Paddy's been given a few. Bobby's been given a few. They've already started calling each other's names. Brilliant.
I'll be honest, I was hoping for Moricano, I really was, because Moricano's got a bit of a sharper tongue than Bobby Green, and he's a bit higher in the rankings. But I'll take Bobby Green. Bobby Green's exciting, he's funny, he's never in a boring fight, he's experienced. And you've obviously got the Scousers. The Scousers and the Irish, mate. Good luck with them tongues. You know what? If I was in press conference with them two, I'd just go like that, look. I'd put tape over his mouth and say, you know what, I'm not even saying anything because you're too sharp. You got to pick and choose your battles out here, Adam.
Listen, you're sharp, mate. You've got the Irish blood inside you, my friend. You can live with them kids, no doubt about it.
We can have a go. We can have a go.
Listen, top quality stuff as always. That's your MMA world over the last 7 days. We're going to be building up throughout the course of the week to UFC 302, so make sure you're across the talkSPORT MMA channel. Please subscribe to it. We're going to give you a full review of Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier and the rest of that card. How does that co-main play out between Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa? You'll find out at the weekend. Of course, make sure you check out the fights, then come back and join us on Sunday for a full review of the show. As I said, make sure you subscribe to your channel so you never miss out on any of our stuff. And me and Brendan, we'll catch you next time.